one thing that came to my mind as you were saying this is I just had a client in for diastasis recti. So that would be what they would come in and say, my abs, my core is the issue. I need to get my abs back. What I have found over the last so many years is usually there's an underlying component with like the breathing and the pelvic floor too. We don't want to just gloss over that. So I like to do a pelvic floor assessment just to kind of see what are we doing down there? Are we gripping the pelvic floor that's causing lack of control in the front just to get make sure we're not missing anything. Then moving on to the rest of the core, like the obliques typically like with the diastasis like to grip or compensate or work the hardest. So they're keeping pulling on our rectus abdominis. So transversus abdominis too in the lower abdomen, like we need that sucker turning back on, which is very hard for women who have had C-sections. I am one of them. I've had three. And I mean, it is just like, hello, are you there? Are you awake? Can we turn on? Where I feel like we have to get that neuro re-ed connecting with those lower abs so much more to help facilitate that contraction and then getting the rectus abdominis to really build on the loading of the tissue too. So it's so much more than just sit-ups and clients that come in and say, I'm
Yeah.
avoiding sit-ups or I've been doing sit-ups and this is what it looks like. It's really breaking down like, great, those you're working your obliques amazingly, but we need to really build the foundation, break it back down to build it back up to get things to close and start working together again and then help decrease your back pain or help decrease your hip pain and making sure that it's firing too with that like full functioning movement. Weakness in the pelvic floor, is that what you're asking about? Okay.
Mhm, mhm.
So I'll just take somebody that I saw this morning, how we were having weakness with or dysfunction, miscommunication on the pelvic floor while she's doing like jump squats and jumping at CrossFit.
Okay.
So while we were chatting, I asked her, like, go ahead and lift up your kid for me. Let me see your posture while you're carrying your kiddo. Well, the posture looks very similar to how she's performing the activity in the gym. So I like to say, like, how we sit is how we stand, is how we move our body. The same goes with our family members. If we're holding a 20-pound kettlebell and we are leaning back, we're pushing that pressure out the abdomen, which is creating that lengthening, that weakness, that separation to linger around. For her, she has tension in the backside of the pelvic floor, which you can see as she's in that posture. We're really gripping and squeezing the backside of the pelvic floor. She has bladder leakage. I tend to see the tightness in the back causes the front part of the pelvic floor to not communicate as well or to not
Mm.
be as strong because I like to say, like, if we were in a track cycle, track meet, what am I? Oh
Yeah.
my gosh, track and field. What is that thing called?
Yes.
If they're running and you know how the numbers are spaced out and somebody gets to to lead a little bit sooner, I feel like that's the
Yes.
backside of the pelvic floor. You're
Okay,
lacking
good
range of
analogy.
motion. It gets to squeeze and get there sooner. So the front's like, do it. You made it. Good job. I don't need to go as hard. I don't need to do the rest of my job because you're doing it for me. Or like a group project. One part of the pelvic floor becomes a type A personality, the other one is type B.
Yeah.
So we have to work on that or force them in positions to get them to communicate better. So our type B personality and type A personality can start to have equal connection or equal skin in the game, forcing it to work. So it may not be that it truly is a weakened muscle, but it's if we could just position it a little bit better, does it feel the same way? Or if we start to stretch out or improve range of motion in the back or in the hips, does the front part of the pelvic floor just start to engage a little bit better with the core? Then we
Mm,
may find the strength feels good there, and then we're building up more endurance. And so
mm.
that particular patient, she would pee every time we jumped in that type of posture. As soon as we started correcting the posture, getting more ribs stacked over top of the pelvis, or I will say tits over toes when we're jumping and running, I want that front to engage. We could get her 5 repetitions before leakage where we were having it happen immediately. So I'm like,
Right.
that's a win. And that's just us changing, making you aware of how you're positioning your body to start to build up that strength, awareness, endurance, and that posture. And then thinking about it at home, if we can start, man, when you feel like you're holding your baby and you're leaning back, I want you to, oh, nope, I need to bring ribs stacked over the pelvis to start engage that tissue a little bit more. That's going
Mm.
to be your homework. Let's start doing that at home throughout your day. Think about it 50% of the time. Let's start there. Start small
Yeah.
and
Yes.
start to continue to build up strength. And so I got an actual email from her this morning. It was like, okay, now I've made it, I've got 7 reps today. I'm like, amazing. We're going to keep
Awesome.
pushing this forward for you while we're doing other things to strengthen it too. But for her,
Sure.
like the big piece, like we could strengthen all day. And if she continues to go back to holding her baby like this and then going into the gym like that, we're going to continue to have an issue. I think you'll get the vagal nerve support with the breathing. I think a lot of clients that come into tend to find things online that say like focus on diaphragmatic breathing, and majority of them are pushing their abdomen out or pushing that breath out. And so explaining to them too, like, yes, this is, let's improve this a little bit so that it can help benefit you in the long run instead of putting that pressure out. Working on the rib mobility that goes in with the breathing too, I always think is key. So having them focus on breathing laterally or 360 versus just pushing out towards that belly button plays a
Yeah.
huge role in what's happening to the overall tissues, nervous system support, vagal system support. In this small scheme of things, in a very blunt way, like hormones play a huge role in everything.
If they do.
With when it comes to the muscle tissue, even if, let's even backtrack, even before perimenopause, your cycles can tell you so much about what's going on with your body. I truly believe women need to have their menstrual cycle and look at it like a report card for their last month.
Yeah.
Because if pain was worse, if bleeding was different, anything that has changed, or sleep, you kind of want to see like what was sleep for the last month, what was stress like for the last month, what was my nutrition like for the last month. That plays a huge role into then how we're bleeding on day 1 through whenever.
Yeah.
Or did it come early? Did it come late? When we get to our ovulation phase, that is when I tend to see majority of my clients have more leakage. If they're going to be dealing with leakage, and it's not all the time, usually around ovulation to the week before their cycle, it picks up. Why is that? In those first 2 weeks, we have estrogen at a higher rate. Estrogen, I like to say around the pelvic floor, is kind of like our plumping up hormone. It gives support, it's there, it's your BFF for that tissue. When estrogen dips during ovulation and progesterone goes higher, I feel like it shows our true colors of what the pelvic floor muscles are truly doing. So that's not a bad thing. I tell clients it's great. Next month, it gives us an opportunity for 4 weeks to figure out what we're doing. Can we see a change in our leakage when we get back to ovulation? Where are we seeing that change in 4 weeks with muscle strength, stability, control? Is our leakage less? Do we have less urgency? Can I make it more reps with running or further with running? The goal is to not have it when we're just having cycles keep happening. We get it stronger. What's happening in those last 2 cycles with estrogen dipping is also what starts happening with perimenopause. Perimenopause, though, every day is different. Estrogen and progesterone, your hormones are all over the place like a daily
Yep.
roller coaster.
Right.
Again, showing us what's really going on with the muscles as we take away some hormones. So I'm hoping women will start paying attention to their cycles, start working on things ahead of time,
Yes.
preventatively. Perimenopause, oh, it's back. What do I need to be doing? Let's check under the hood, fix what's going on.
Yeah.
Menopause, our estrogen's gone. So when we see leakage kick in, that's gone. We're going to deal with the muscles. You can get on hormone replacement therapy to help with that. You need to check with your provider on if the benefits outweigh the risk for you and your family and your DNA. The hormone component with pelvic pain increases too because the muscles can go more restricted, more tight, more tense, where we've got to work on the mobility side, start adding in stress management because cortisol plays a huge factor. It's the mothership to everything. And we
Yep.
should start doing that at the beginning when we're watching our menstrual cycles and almost
Yep.
get into a routine throughout the rest of our life of really listening to our body. It's always talking to us, and we can learn so much from it.